Man, you wouldn't think sitting here and talking to a camera for, 16-ish videos over 2 days would be that difficult, but it is tiring.
Yeah, I got balls, of course I read. I got balls, won't you listen to me?
Hello, and welcome to The Author Has Thoughts. I'm the author in question, Gary Ballard, self-published author of 12 novels and novellas and one short story collection. Today I'm going to talk about episode 8 of my Kindle Vella series, which is going to be a novel called Hiss Whistle Dead. It's set in the Bridge Chronicles universe, and there's links in the description for if that doesn't make sense to explain to you what it is. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell so you'll know when the next episode is out to let you know that there's another Vella episode out at the same time. If you follow me at all, you knew that I had to do an episode where I shit all over the crypto bros, right? That's this episode. If you're talking about some kind of digital message sent over an old cell line that can't be traced, I've got to talk about the blockchain. If you are someone who has bought and lost money on crypto or NFTs, or who somehow think DeFi or blockchain is going to magically free finance from government control, man, you are going to get your feelings hurt with this episode of the video and of the book. Now, if it sounds like I have a serious hate on for blockchain and crypto, you're right. I do. You're 100% correct. I am not knowledgeable enough to say there is absolutely no use case where blockchain is the best technology to use, either in its current form or some future iteration. That said, the only credible use cases I've personally heard is criminal, i.e. keeping tax authorities from taxing me, hiding the movement of money from illicit to legit sources, which is called money laundering, or just buying something that isn't legal, whether it's weed, child porn, or some other illegal transaction that you don't want to be tracked by your bank. Everything else that I've heard about blockchain and what it could be used for, blockchain does what other technologies already do, only it's slower. It's less efficient, and you have the added wrinkle that you're still going to need to be able to turn your fiat currency, your dollars, into cryptocurrency, and then vice versa in reverse, unless you happen to be dealing with a buyer or seller that exclusively deals in crypto. That exchange between fiat and crypto has so far been handled very poorly by companies who are absolutely riddled with fraud on a scale that we probably haven't seen before. And all that doesn't even touch on the subject of the last few years of crypto's surge of popularity that has been driven not to replace fiat currencies, but as a speculative investment which is due to its unsustainable price fluctuations. The people who've made actual money that they turn into dollars off of cryptocurrencies are people who already had money. They used crypto to stash that money where it couldn't be taxed, then got out of that with a profit right after the price plateaued, but just before it cratered and the exchanges proved themselves to be pyramid schemes. Things like FTX and CZ's thing, whatever it was called, I forgot now. I say all that to say that episode 8 is essentially me making fun of libertarians, crypto bros, and the even newer generative AI craze. Galt Valley in this episode is just the worst amalgamation of Wall Street and Vegas, as well as the search ad market that returns search results based on who bid the most on a search term. It's an absolute fucking nightmare. And of course, the representative of the place who meets with Shell is the epitome of the worst kind of date-raping, roofie-dropping tech bro. It's a pretty dense episode once you get down to it, but I think it's actually a lot of fun. And when I say this, I mean it. It is meant to be a complete piss take on all those subjects. The worst part about Galt Valley in this episode is I could absolutely see it happening this way, because that's what the tech industry itself has become lately. I mean, you could argue that it's been that way for a few cycles of boom and bust now. At times, tech can feel like one long train of grifters just trying to get that sweet, sweet VC money, keep the business afloat till some bigger tech giant comes and buys them out, before the big tech giant who bought this turd realizes there's no profit in the company as it's built, strips it for whatever parts are actually valuable, and lays off everybody else. And then the brand or whatever disappears. It's a cycle that keeps happening because companies and their CEOs and investors in some cases continue to be rewarded for short-term thinking rather than long-term planning. In addition, a lot of this grift is the same as it's always been, because it's really just grifters convincing dumb money over and over again that the concept of gravity does not exist. And what I mean by that is, most of these grifts work on the premise that growth is the only true measure of a business's success. A business that is not growing but is still profitable is worth less than a business that is growing exponentially. But that growth, gravity exists, and that growth will eventually fall. And that growth is usually expressed as some kind of metric, but that metric does not stay the same. It's not consistent. It evolves and changes, meaning how a business becomes valuable and is valuable is so different this year than it was last year. Google is currently a great example of this. The search results for vanilla Google search, they're no longer built for relevancy, they're built to drive ad sales. If you have done a Google search in the last 6 to 9 months, you probably know what I'm talking about if you look close enough. Just vanilla Google search is full of absolute garbage. Some of it is generated AI summaries of other content on the internet, the stuff that told people they need to eat 1 rock a day because it had no context for the words it read, just that those words were relevant to the search. It's also stuffed with so many sponsored results that are bought, there's almost no way to know what's a good result. Reddit has been floated to the top of any non-sponsored search results because Google is paying Reddit to be allowed to index their content, but also to be allowed to train their garbage Gemini AI on Reddit data, which is where that eat a rock a day thing came from, a satirical Reddit post. So even when you strip out a lot of that garbage, and I use a thing called 10bluelinks.org, I'll have a link in the description below to do that, you still get sponsored content, and then there's still a shitload of AI generated content on the web in the form of listicles that may or may not even be relevant to the search you did. Even those results are garbage because of how much the slop has pushed out good stuff. A lot of the content that's on the regular just Google search page is just scraped off of other sites and summarized, so you don't even have to leave Google to get the answer you ask. Now that sounds great. The problem is it means the legit sites who wrote that information, put that information out there, who probably make their revenue off of subscriptions or ad revenues of their own site, do not get the traffic they would have been getting before. But Google does, and Google gets paid for it. If you're wondering why news media is laying off so many journalists, that's a factor. Their shit's getting scraped and put on Google summaries, but it's not actually leading to traffic to their site. So their ad revenue tanks. I don't want to make this all about Google, because there's a lot of other fuckery going around, but if you're interested in more, I suggest that you listen to the podcast from 404 Media or Zitron's better offline. They're both excellent analyses on the tech industry as well as just entertaining. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button. If you hated it, hit the dislike button. Give me a comment. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell to get notified when the next episode's out. Check me out on my socials. I've got Instagram and I'm on Blue Sky, and though I'm still on Twitter, I don't actually look at it all that much. Come back next week for episode 9, and I hope you are still getting the Vella episodes. My name is Gary Ballard, and these have been my thoughts.
1, 2, 3, 4.